Hey everybody, this is Wednesday's work. It's going to be 8-4 angle relationships. So this is going to get a little complicated, so just stick with me. It's our last day, so make sure you give this a whirl. Give it a try. Make sure that you kind of have, when you come back in pre-algebra next year, you've at least seen it and you've tried it, and hopefully it'll make a little bit better sense. So we're talking about angles, and when we talk about that, let's talk about number one here. Angles opposite each other are called vertical angles. So this angle and this angle, okay, are opposite each other. So those are called vertical angles. So vertical angles have equal measures. So if we look at A, B, and C right here, okay, and DBE, so that's DBE, those angles, those are vertical angles, okay, and they are going to be equal to each other, okay. Those two are going to be the same. So non-overlapping angles that share a ray, so a ray is one of these lines right here, that's a ray, are called adjacent angles. So AB and E, okay, is an adjacent angle to EBD. Okay, those two are adjacent. They're right next to each other, okay, because they share ray BE. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to write and solve an equation. Define the value of x. They are vertical angles, so set them equal to each other. So these two angles, MNO and ROP, are going to be equal to each other. So we have 3x minus 6, so that's their 1. Okay, that's going to be equal to its vertical angle, which is 114. Okay, so these two things are going to be equal. Okay, and now we just got to solve out the problem, right? This is a subtraction. If we change, keep switch flip there. So that's a minus 6, so we're going to plus 6 to get rid of the 6's. So we get 3x equals 120. We divide out the 3. That's a multiplication problem, so our one-step equation says that we're going to divide. So we're going to divide on both sides. What we do to the left, we got to do to the right. So x is going to equal 40. Okay, so the original question, make sure you read the original question, asks us to find the value of x. So that's what we did. We found the value of x. It doesn't ask us to do anything more with it, but make sure you pay attention in case it does. So make sure you're doing the whole question. Okay, so for right now, it just asks us to find the value of x. We did that. So our problem is done. So that problem is over. Okay, so let's talk about complementary angles. Complementary angles are angles that add up to 90. Again, remember when we see that square? Okay, so that forms a right angle. That's 90 degrees. So it's saying here that basically these two angles, angle x and angle that's 37 degrees, are going to equal 90. Okay, so if we were to write this out as an equation, we'd put x plus 37 equals 90. Okay, and then we would just solve that. We'd minus 37 to get rid of those, right? Minus 37, so x would equal 53 degrees. Okay, so make sure that we keep in mind, and make sure you know what that question is going to ask you as we go forward. Okay, and so as we go forward, supplementary angles. So let's make sure we understand complementary angles add up to 90. Supplementary angles add up to 180, which is a straight line. So if you see that straight line and you see an angle on it, you know those two angles have to add up to 180. So again, this is the same thing. So if we were to do this out in equation form, we'd say x plus 134 equals 180. Okay? And then we're just going to do our little one-step equation here and figure this one out. So x is going to be equal to 46 degrees. 36 degrees. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So make sure you ask that you know if it's asking you for a supplementary angle, a complementary angle, or vertical angles, or adjacent angles. So we need to know what those things are and how to define those. Okay, so again, remember this is an angle symbol. It's not a greater than or less than symbol. So we understand what the question's asking us. So angle DEG and angle GEF are complementary. Find the value of x. So that means that these let's label this DEG, GEF. Okay, so that's how we'd label those. So we're going to find the value of x. Remember, complementary is going to be equal to 90. Okay, so we have 3x plus 36 equals 90. Okay, now we just figured this out as a two-step equation problem. So we're going to minus 36 here, minus 36 there. Whatever we do to the left, we got to do to the right. It's going to give us 3x equals 54. What are we going to do now? We're going to divide by 3, right? Get rid of those 3's. But what we do to the left, we got to do to the right. So x equals 18. Okay? So if we were looking at that angle, it's a 3x, so we would do 3 times 18 to find that angle. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so 3 times 18, so that's 54. So that'd be 54 degrees. Okay? So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now we got a lot of crazy angles. Okay, so we got to understand it's asking us to use vertical angle and complementary angles. Okay, so use the vertical angles to find the value of x. So we're trying to find the value of x, and we're going to find the measure of angle PAR. Okay, PAR. Okay, so one way we can find the value of x is that we know that 6x is equal to 2x plus 16. We know that this angle and this angle are going to be equal to each other. So this will give us the value of x. Okay? So we're going to minus 2x from here. Whatever we do to the right, we got to do to the left. Get rid of those. Equals 16. What's 6 minus 2? Okay? That's just 4x. Divide by 4 to get rid of the 4's. Divide by 4. So x equals 4. Okay? So we use the vertical angle to find the value of x because we know that those two angles are the same. So we get x equals 4. Now we have to plug that in to angle PAR to find out and use complementary, which means complementary means that they're going to equal 90, correct? Okay? So we get 2x plus 16 okay, so that means if we plug 4 in for x, we're going to get 2 times 4 plus 16, which equals what? That's going to equal 24 degrees. Okay? So we know that KAR is 24 degrees. So we get 24 plus, let's call that x, plus x is going to equal 90. We know that complementary angles equal 90. Okay, so we're going to minus 24 to get rid of the 24's, minus 24. So that angle is going to be equal to 66 degrees. Okay, so if we put this as question 1, that's our answer. This is 2. This is 2. Okay, x equals 66 degrees. That's our answer. Okay, so make sure that you kind of understand what it's asking you and be able to put these things together and to understand what these angles mean. Okay, so that's angle PAR. Remember, that's PAR. So that's that angle. Okay, so try to keep that straight. Draw on your paper if you need to keep it straight before you write your answers down. Okay, this one looks a little crazy. Okay, and you can go through this, but when we look at all these angles, we can say, okay, what are true statements here? That this ray, let's say that this is ray F. Okay, we know that is shared by angles 1 and 2. Okay, angle 1 and 2, they share this ray right there, right? Okay, so if we look at the sum of angles 2 and 3, okay, because we have this little thing there, they're going to end up to 90, so that makes them complementary. Remember, complementary angles add up to 90. Okay, when we look at this, angles 1 and 4 are opposite each other. So 1 and 4 are opposite each other. So angle 1 and angle 4 are opposite each other. So they are vertical, which makes them, which means angle 1 is going to be equal to angle 4. Okay, remember, vertical angles are equal to each other. Angles 4 and 5, okay, they make a straight line. We look at this line right here. So angle 4 and angle 5 make up this straight line right here, which means they are supplementary angles, and they are going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so those are things we know. So this last slide is just putting it all together on things that we know so that you can use this information to figure out your problem. So do the best you can. Make sure that you're emailing me any questions you have. I will answer them as quickly as possible. And try to get you answers back and try to help you as much as I can. So hopefully these videos are helping you. I hope you have a great week. I will send out a video probably sometime on Friday reminding you to get everything turned in and kind of say goodbye to you guys for the summer. I can't wait to see you guys around in the hallways next year. It'd be awesome if I had some 8th grade science next year so I could have some of you in class again. So have a great week. I will talk to you again on Friday.